ready to assemble the bike. Here we have Norm's 2018 Road King. Nice, all blacked out. Has a few cool aftermarket features. We've got the mirrors, grips, 16-inch bars, air filter, a few other accessories like the derby covers and stuff. So what it's in for today is the old indicators not working on the passenger side. The rear one's going, just not the front one, so we'll check all the wiring and see what needs to be done. The first thing we're going to check is obviously the wiring up here. So we'll have to remove the switch block, take this master cylinder off. We'll test the switch out and also test the wiring to make sure there's no broken wires within there. But I've got to guess there's going to be a pinch wire somewhere. Sorry, this little video is going to be a bit shaky. So we want to test the pin down in there. I've got the indicator currently on. So we're on our bottom, that middle one there in the bottom. So I'll see if I can do this and show you at the same time. Here we go. So now we can eliminate the computer side of things, and it's a hardware problem up in the bars. I've removed the two screws that hold the housings on here. It's a two-piece housing, like a clamshell style. So you can see we've got our switches on this side, and then we have our indicator down here. So we've got our joint here, probably not going to focus. Here we go. So it's actually a good solder job there. It's actually quite a nice wiring job. The only downside is they use tape on that, but nonetheless, it's a lot better than I've seen before. So let's chuck our voltmeter on and check the resistance and see if there's any breaks in the lines. So what we want to do now is eliminate the actual indicator itself to make sure that's not the issue. So what we'll do now, as you can see down the back there, the indicator's flashing. So to eliminate the issue of the light, just do all the basic steps first. We'll test this joint up here to make sure there's power there. Oh, that's not a good sign there. Well, I wasn't expecting that. No power there. So that now tells me it's a wiring issue between this joint here and down to the back. So it looks like I'll chuck my voltmeter on, check the resistance, but I've got a feeling I'll be having to, pull all the wiring out of the bar, start again. So what we want to do now is remove the tank and then try and find the join from the wiring extension so we can test from there back. What we need to do is pull the plugs off here and remove the tank. So it's pretty easy to remove these tanks. You have two bolts down here, you've got your one down here, one up the front here on the gauge, and that whole gauge will just slide off. And what you do there is just unplug that, undo your breather, and the tank will slide back. Being that this bike's gloss black and it's so round, it's hard to keep myself out of the reflection. A couple of things I forgot to mention. Got our petcock down here. So that's your main fuel line. What we do is push that up. That'll disconnect your fuel line. And I didn't mention that you've got your two bolts there. And all your wiring joints are always up in the back here. Same as for the street lights and these Road Kings as well. To get access to the plugs, we need to pull the two bolts off on each side. And there's another screw that holds the light surround ring on, and then we need to pull this one off here. As we can see, we've got our headlight shroud off now. We've got good news and bad news. The good news is the bad news. So bad news is we found what the problem probably will be. It's all this ugly wiring job. I have no idea why I get the bad end of the straw always coming across all this junk. Check that out. Look how they put the resistors and stuff in. Out of it. Or just a real ugly job. So I'll put money on it. The problem will lie within this area here, and that's the wires that go up into the bar. So we'll check the resistance there, But yeah, they really catfished us a beauty on this one. I thought, oh, it must be a pretty good wiring job because that was soldered nicely. But then I was thinking they didn't put any heat shrink on it, it was just taped up. But anyhow, let's remove all this, check our resistance within the wiring for inside the bars there. And hopefully that's not an issue, and it's, as I say, it's probably going to lie down here anyway, so let's go and test it. I was only unwrapping all the ugly tape off it, and guess what we found? Look what they had done. So someone has just cut those wires off, that's no big deal. They're only your day running lights. So you can cut them off, but what I usually do is just de-pin it, pull it out so you don't have any exposed wires like that. But what has actually happened is, they cut these so short, I have no idea what they've done. But anyhow, the joint just come straight out. So that's why we have no power. Job's all done. All I did was put a new 4-pin plug on, like the one that came off it. Colour coded the wiring, so put some purple on, black for the earth, purple for the left hand side indicator. So same as V-rods, all the generic Harley stuff. Basically left hand side is purple, right hand side for the indicators are brown. Put the barrel fittings back on, because that's what come off the resistors. And yeah, job's all done, all tidy now. Good to go, ready to assemble the bike. The bike's all done. When it comes to wiring, don't be afraid of it. Just keep it as a simple process of elimination. So let's start what we knew. We knew there was no indicator up here, so let's test the power to eliminate that it wasn't the unit itself. Test the power, there was no power up there. So now we know we have an issue from here down to the control module. So we lifted the seat off, we put the test light on the control module. We've seen that the control module was sending a output signal out, and we could see that it was flashing. So now we know the problem lies between the control module and the wiring. So we've now eliminated the indicator itself and the control module. So now we know it's a hardware problem within the wiring. So we pulled the headlight off, there's 2 plugs under there. I didn't need to pull the tank off, I jumped the gun, but anyhow, we pulled the tank off, and so you pull the headlight cover off and expose the 2 plugs that were down in there. So what we did was, what I was going to do was actually test the resistance of the line from here back to the control module to make sure there's no issue. But once I pulled the plug out, that's when we came across the problem. The wire had actually come out of the terminal itself that was in the plug. So there we go, we found our problem. So that's another way to test your wiring from there to there. Check your resistance, then we can eliminate that issue. So then, say if we'd done that first, we didn't see the broken wire, then we know the problem lies between the bars there and that plug, so within that loom there. But as you said, it was that loom and it had a broken wire. Time to give the bike a quick clean up before she heads out. Paint's quite scratched up, just from washing it. Can't really tell through the lens, but yeah, still in good nick nonetheless. Clean all this motor up again. Won't go too over the top, just enough to make it tidier. Check that out, bike all done now. Looking beautiful. Doesn't even look like the same bike. Beautiful finish on it now. Check the gloss. Stunning. Beautiful. I also blacked out that reflector there. They're usually orange. Just put a bit of wrap on it so warrant time if he has to pull it off, he can just whack it off. So now the side profile of this bike, it's just all black. I'd like to dedicate this video to Norm's grandkids, little Noe and Ezra. One day they'll look back on it, on this video hopefully, and see Papa's bike. Before this bike he had a V-Rod, so it's got a pretty good taste in bike and colours.